Yo, what is up YouTube? Today I'm going to be making a video that I've been very excited to make. Today I'm going to be doing a quick review for you guys of Nitro Red by Dumont. I've had this fragrance it's one of my more recent pickups. I've had it for a little while though. I've been wearing it a lot in preparation for making this video because I wanted to be able to get, a good idea of the performance, projection, the scent, how it lasts, how the scent changes, all that stuff, what it smells like. So I wanted to be able to make a real in-depth review. I think a lot of reviewers wear these fragrances like one time and then come and give you all a review. And with these, particularly with these colognes, they can change. So I never want to be, get a fragrance and spray it, wear it once, make a review. I like to wear them good bit of times, just at least give it a couple sprays like on my hand throughout the day, see how it lasts, how it changed, all that stuff, yada yada. Let's get right into it. Nitro Red, I do not believe this is a clone of anything, at least to my knowledge. It could be, a clone of maybe a lesser known fragrance that I'm not sure about. When I smelled it, it didn't particularly jump out as an exact clone of anything. I think if I had to put this in a realm of something that I smelled, I would say it was somewhat similar to the Hawass line, like the original Hawass and Hawass Ice, but obviously not a clone of that. Kind of in that same playing field, I guess you could say. But this is definitely a sweeter fragrance. Look, if you are up in like you're a grown man, and you don't exactly like smelling more on the feminine side. Not that this smells feminine, okay? It doesn't smell like a woman's perfume. A woman can certainly wear it though, but it's not super feminine, but it is sweet, okay? And this smells to me like I've heard comparisons to a watermelon Jolly Rancher before. It is a good comparison. This is kind of like a gourmand, but not in the typical gourmand way of like a, chocolate vanilla or something like that. This is more of like a fruity, sweet, sugary gourmand. The watermelon, you do get watermelon out of this, a little bit of apple I smell too. Like kind of like a candied apple, candied watermelon. And watermelon Jolly Rancher is definitely a good comparison. Or like you have watermelon with sugar all over it. That's a good comparison too, I would say. But it's not super cloyingly sweet though. It's certainly synthetic, but it's smooth, and it's good. But that's the closest thing to a real life comparison of what this smells like. When I make these reviews, I usually try to tell what I think it smells like so you can have an idea. A lot of guys come on and they just read out the notes pyramid, and they're talking about there's geranium and ambergris and all this stuff. I don't know what it smells like. I try to just kind of tell you what I think it smells like, and that's the closest comparison I could get. I will say, my girlfriend went out of her way to say that I smelled very good wearing that, and that is high praise because I have forced her to smell literally every fragrance I have, and she's at the point where she's like, yeah, that's good, whatever. But this one, she went out of her way. I didn't know. She said, you smell really good wearing this. So that tells you anything. If you are, as I was saying, a grown man and you particularly don't like smelling too cloyingly sweet, even though this isn't that cloying, I wouldn't recommend it. But that's not saying, if you're a grown man, you could certainly wear it. You just got to be comfortable with smelling more unisex, because like I said, a woman could definitely pull this off. But it's good. And if you wear it, you're going to smell good. And that brings me into the performance of it, which now, listen, I heard from every reviewer I watched, I heard from everybody that this was a beast mode one. So I had high hopes. And I will say, this one, for the first couple hours, it is a projector. It's going to project for a solid, 2 hours of good projection, jumping off the skin. And then after that, it kind of dies down and becomes more intimate. It's just going to be right in your bubble. You get, within a half a foot of you, you'll smell it, but it's not going to be jumping off your skin, which, listen, a lot of people I think get these things confused when they say, if I say a fragrance lasts for 8 hours, I tell you Nitro Red lasts for 8 hours. That does not mean that it sits there and performs and blasts off your skin for 8 hours. Certainly not some crazy fragrances out there that do that. What that means is, you really are going to get your projection in the first hour or two out of most fragrances, and after that, they kind of die down and become more intimate, right on your skin. People get close to you, you smell it, you're still going to get whiffs of it, but it's not going to be blast and projection. You can still leave a sillage, and that lasts for that long period of time. And this is one that does that. You know, it gives you a good solid projection at the start. And as it starts to die down, it certainly hangs around. This is one that you're gonna smell on. Me personally, I smell on my skin pretty much all day after I spray it. You know, I would say after like 5-6 hours, it's essentially become a skin scent. You know, you smell it. You know, like right up on your skin, you'll smell it. It's still there though, and that's still part of its lifespan and still lasting. And that lasts pretty much all day. And that's all you can really ask. I mean, this puppy's like 30 bucks. This is super cheap. And I know there is a new flanker to it that came out, Nitro Red Intensely, I believe it's called. Nitro Red Intense, something like that. I've heard it is a little stronger and a little different, so I will have to pick that one up. But for now, I've been wearing Nitro Red, and I do enjoy it. Like I said, if the way I described it to you sounds good, you know, it's certainly going to be an attention-grabbing fragrance. If you're looking for compliments, this is one that people are going to smell. You know, like I said, it is a good performer, so people are going to smell you, and you're going to smell good. You smell refreshing, sweet, good, you know. So if that sounds good for you, pick it up. You know, if it doesn't, then don't. That's pretty much all I got to say about it. Overall, solid fragrance. I'd give it an 8.2 out of 10, you know, and yeah. So that's going to be it for me. If you've watched this far, I appreciate it. If you enjoy content like this, drop a like, subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next one.